Welcome everybody to another walkthrough, and this one was specifically for you, Eric. I was very close to not going to this place, and then I thought, Eric is going to love it. So it's a surprise. You don't know what it is, but here it is.
Oh, arcade bar. Like it already.
Yeah, it's Tilt Arcade Bar in London, Ontario. All you can play $7. And what time is it?
What time is it? Time to play.
It's burger time.
Burger time. I like it. Peter Pepper right on the excellent.
My first time in this place, and it was love at first sight as soon as I saw the burger time on the side. It's one of my favorite arcade games, thanks to you. And I never really cared about it until you told me, burger time is fantastic.
Burger time is a lot of fun. They actually have a new version, like a competitive version of Burger Time on the Nintendo Switch arcade. Ooh. It's okay. It's interesting. I'll let people look it up on YouTube to check it out. It was Missile Command though. This is an absolute classic.
Yeah, and the great thing about the free play is you can just play for a couple seconds, a minute, and just move on. So I gave everything a little try here and there.
Nice.
Some of the images, there's this beautiful tilt sign on the side there that's like Pac-Man art.
Zaxxon. God, that I always thought that was the hardest game. That the isometric perspective of that Zaxxon always made it so hard for me to play.
Yeah. Have you ever been in an arcade bar?
Yeah, there are a couple. There was actually a really cool one in Krakow when I went a couple months ago, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, it was really neat. I think there's actually two of them there, but the one we went to is really nice. What really counts though, like there have been some that I've been to that are awesome, and some where the machines haven't been restored and stuff. And the ones like this where it looks like everything's in really good working order, it really makes a big difference.
Yeah,
there was one in Manchester that we went to with some of Carla's friends that was incredible. It was like 3 floors, and wow. all the games were spotless. It was absolutely amazing.
Wow. Well, all these cabinets are beautiful condition.
Yeah.
Some of the joysticks are a little sticky. You'll see as I'm playing around. I think this one was fine, but after a couple seconds, I realized, why did I grab the far left joystick? I'm off to the side here. I should get more into the middle. And you notice some of the screens when I'm filming here are a little kind of hazier or cloudier. I kept wiping my... I got my phone around my neck. I got this new rig where it's like you clip this ring around your neck and it holds your phone. It gives you a really nice smooth walking shot, but I kept cleaning the lens like, what is this cloudy look? And then I realized it's actually some of the screens are just got a little bit of maybe sweat on them.
That's to be expected though, those old CRTs, unless somebody's gone through and done a total recap and all that kind of stuff. Those screens always look a little fuzzy.
Yeah, and there's nothing like old arcade cabinets standing while you play.
Well, what really says something to me is that with a lot of sort of the modern versions of these games that you'll find downloadable and stuff like that, the retro versions, a lot of them even have a filter over the top of them that'll make them look like a slightly fuzzy CRT with scan lines in it. So to me, that's really part of that feel. And that feeling of these old games. Frogger, it's an excellent one.
I use a emulator on Mac. It's called OpenEmu, and it's just like just do it. Like for people who aren't computer experts, just load it and do it. It plays all the different systems, and that's one of the filters that you could put on there, make it look like an old boob tube with lines on it.
Yeah, add the curved corners and all that stuff.
I was not doing well on some of these games today. It's so dark in there. I guess the lighting. Is different depending on what time of day. Oh, there we go. Bow down. Bow down. It's burger time.
I'm so glad you've taken to that game. That's kind of, I don't know that I'd call it a unappreciated gem, but I think it's
fun.
Yeah, it's not as popular as I think it deserves to be. But I think it's catching on. It's catching on. Yeah, this is a great game.
The arcade game is my favorite. The NES is trash. I cannot go and play the NES game after playing the sharp control of the arcade version. I just love this game, but the NES one is just the controls are so sluggish, and you have to have like absolute precise control when you're playing this game. Like it is just as precise as Pac-Man is.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think with like eggs and aggressive pickles chasing you. Hot dogs.
Well, and there's really a trick to how these. There's a logic that the AI follows in the game. That there's a slight degree of predictability how you can count on them going. And it's a mileage thing, but it's really satisfying.
I was clearly not aware of this this pattern while playing today. The other great arcade bar in Ontario, Pin-Up Arcade Bar in Waterloo, also has a burger time, and I log a lot of minutes. Can't say hours anymore, but a lot of minutes when I go into that one on burger time.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting with the free play open on these games. When we were kids and we go into these arcades, and any arcade, you had a pocket full of quarters. If you were lucky, you had like $20 that your mom or dad had given you and said, "Here, keep busy for a while." So you knew you were out. You were gone when all those when your quarters were out, right? So the games that cost like 50 cents a pop to play were kind of like, I don't know.
Here.
Yeah. So you'd sit on a machine you knew you could play
aggressive
pretty well.
pickles.
Oh, pickles, yes.
It figures it's the pickles that got me. Were you one of those guys who'd slap the quarter down? I'm next. When you got sick of the guy being on the machine too long.
Well, you do that thing. I don't know if they did the same where you lived, where you'd put the quarter on the kind of the marquee.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a big one.
Well, we always saw it where the joystick was, it's down there. But the nice thing about this arcade bar, as well as the other one, now I'm trying to play Pac-Man Pinball here or something, and then I realize, yeah, and then I realize, there's like a Pac-Man screen up here that you got to play that first before you get to play the pinball portion of it.
This is a clever one. This is I remember when this game came out, seeing it. I think the first time I ever saw it was like in a Chuck E. Cheese, and it was just kind of like, wow, what's going on here? It was a novel idea, having the kind of two stages of play.
Yeah, that'd be a nice one to have at home.
Yeah.
And the great thing I was saying about both the arcade bars I've been to is there's never like some guy who won't get off the machine. You get on, you get off. No one really stays on these for longer than 10 minutes.
I think that's the thing. I think because of the free play, you're more likely or more able to spend a few minutes playing it, kind of suck it in, and not feeling like you have to get your quarter's worth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was talking about this one last night on the stream, going through EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly issue number 1, NARC, Just Say No to Drugs.
Yeah.
By taking out the drug dealers, I guess.
Just say no to drugs with some of the most visceral and realistic ultra-violence in a video game at the time.
I guess this was violent for its time. I mean, it's nothing. Yeah. It's a Saturday morning cartoon by today's standards. It's Sesame Street. But at the time, any little
blood and guts. Yeah. Well, like that and like Smash TV and all those games that Williams is coming out with. That's
so
cool.
Nice too. Yeah, the marquees are up on there.
Marquees, yeah.
So it gives it a real museum feel, not just arcade, but like really celebrating the history of video games.
It's a nice touch. I noticed that it's really well decorated in there. It's got kind of nice Tron.
Speaking of nice touches, it's on like Tron.
Yeah, nice.
There's the king of the arcade right there.
I can hear the music in my head to this game.
Now the joystick doesn't light up, right, on the original cabinet?
I think it does. I think it's got a light in there. Yeah.
It was clear. I know it was clear.
Yeah.
I saw it at the other arcade and it wasn't lit up, but I mean, if the light hits it right, it looks like it's lighting
Maybe
up.
That's what I'm remembering. Yeah. I feel like I remember it lighting up, but maybe not. I could be mistaken.
Yeah.
It'd actually be something somebody listening, if they could confirm or deny.
Oh, I'm sure there's been upgrades too. The one in Waterloo, he put in a little screen so that the Master Control is actually an animated image of Master Control instead of just a light up frame. This Light Cycle game, that wasn't me doing that. That's the control is a little wonky.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. And the tank game. It was cool how there was more than one mode of play in this game. It wasn't just a side scroller.
Yeah, it did. It had those different kind of stages of the play.
So I had a thought about classic video games. In the old days, we'd play classic video games, and I think a lot of time we would feel more like anxious, not more relaxed, more anxious after playing a video game. Like, I'm wired. And then you'd go outside to relax a little bit. And I think these days, I mean, these crazy new video games that people play are just so photorealistic and violent and crazy. That makes you anxious. And then you play a game like this to feel relaxed.
Yeah.
Because I felt very relaxed playing these old, like, 8-bit and even 4-bit video games.
Well, some of my favorite genres of games are still like arcade-style beat-em-ups, like Double Dragon and TMNT and stuff. Yeah, there you go, right there. And one of my other favorite genres still are like 2D shmups, like 2D shooters like Gradius and I still enjoy those kind of games, like even the newer versions of those that have kind of more updated graphics. And what I find is I find myself in more of a zen state when I play these kind of games, like especially shmups, where it's bullet hell and everything's coming at you. You kind of got to get in a mental zone to kind of like you feel like you're almost like interfacing with it,
Bruce Lee talked about that.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee called it no-mindedness. You don't.
Yes, exactly.
You don't see the fighter. You don't see the punch. You focus on nothing, and you feel instead of see.
Yeah, you're not. It's almost like it's like you're not actively thinking. It becomes complete like reaction, and I don't know, like some sort of synergy or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're sensing it.
Yeah, but
I played a racing game one time that was impossible to get past one part. It was Burnout, I think. And then I did that. I just stopped watching what I was doing and just kind of went blank and kind of felt. It was Luke Skywalker in the Death Star trench.
Yeah.
Just felt. And I got through it. And people who were watching went, how in the blue hell did you do that? That was insane. And while it was happening, I couldn't believe I was doing it. Like, I could never do this if I tried. But literally not trying, and I got through it. Just by
It's like, it's using the Force, man. That's what it is.
That's what it is. So Dragon, one of the controllers on that was a little sticky too, which is why I switched to the second one. Now these Space Ace, Dragon's Lair, I could never figure out how to get further than 5 seconds in these things.
It's all those little visual cues where you see stuff blinking. That's what it is. Like you'll see in here when you're playing it, you'll see a ledge blink, like left or right, or that's what it all is. And I never knew that when I was a kid. I never figured that out. It wasn't until I want to say it was like the Amiga version. A friend of mine had Space Ace on the Amiga. I think it was Space Ace or was it Dragon's Lair? And he was showing me. It's like, oh yeah, you look for the cues and point in the direction of the cue. And I was like, I never got that when I was a kid.
I was talking to you about this Pong game a couple of months ago. This is a 3D Pong.
Oh, that's really cool. Is that an actual block that's floating across that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really neat. It's got to have some mechanism with a magnet under it or something. That's cool.
Thanks to the gentleman who let me record a couple seconds of them.
Oh, that's really cool. Oh, Defender. That's great.
Yeah.
Defender's
and
really
as the years go by, I gravitate more to those early 80s games. Like they got Turtles there, and I like Turtles, and Terminator 2, but it's Defender and Donkey Kong and Burger Time. It's the original arcade hits that I'm enjoying more.
It is that elegant simplicity, and I think that's one of the reasons that retro games have gotten so big lately, is because there are people that, even newer players, like people that weren't necessarily around when all this stuff was there, the games have gotten the fidelity of games has gotten so crazy, and even objectives and things like open world games where it's all milk runs and complexity and all this sort of stuff, where the essence and the simplicity of an older game, I think, really turns on even some new players.
It's more about reflexes than processing all of the imagery that you're seeing.
Well, or problem solving or that kind of thing. Yeah.
This controller is pretty nasty. I think you'll see in a second here me just trying to tap on it. It's not working at all.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's
but
a little bit of
why wouldn't younger people who were born way after these came out appreciate them? Because, there's people who were born well after The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and they watch it and call it a masterpiece.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool when I see younger people playing these and going, man, this is really fun. How come my stuff isn't this fun? It's just frustrating.
Oh, Super Sprint. That's a great game. I love that game.
Such a huge room here. And that's just the
Great.
arcade machines. They got a bunch of pinball machines too.
So if you ever see it, one of my favorite pinball games ever
Dance Revolution.
is Guns N' Roses has a pinball game, the Guns N' Roses pinball machine.
They had an AC/DC.
Yeah,
The band ones are great because you can actually hear some of their music.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it adds to the mood.
And there I am, actually. There's a Ghostbusters symbol.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Who are you going to call?
That's excellent.
I think I actually...
is that Funhouse? Oh, that's a great one. That's one of my other favorites, actually. To the right.
And this one's cool because the bell tolls for thee when you start this pinball game.
Yeah, there's nothing like an actual pinball game.
Hell's balls.
Well, you know what's great about pinball too is that you get that kind of there's the mechanical nature of it that has a lot of you get a lot of feedback from, and it's got that kind of haptics to it. You feel the ball hitting the plunger and the paddles and all that stuff. But it's another one of those where you can kind of achieve that zen-like state kind of playing it. It's all kind of getting absorbed in what's going on, and there's a lot of direct physical feedback there. And
yeah.
It's really cool.
So I've never been a tilter playing pinball. I love pinball. I've never been one to tilt, and this is the first time in my life I've had the urge to tilt multiple times on multiple machines, because I was not a pinball wizard this night. I was a pinball mage. They just kept going right down the middle. I'm like, now I get the whole tilt thing. 40 some odd years later, I get the tilt thing. Tilting, for people who don't know, I take it for granted. There's probably a lot of young people who don't know what I'm talking about. Tilt is when you would literally tilt a pinball machine to try to get the ball to not go straight down the middle into the hole. And then the machine would sense you doing that, and it would shut down. It would punish you by disabling the paddles.
Yeah, the quickest way of tilting is if you kind of nudge the table one way or the other hard enough, and that's the paddles don't work.
and this video does not capture the oomph, the awesomeness of pinball machines. It all actually comes out very flat compared to when you're actually there and the lights are flashing, and you can hear the noises coming out of it a lot better than what you can hear here.
There's a company, and I can't remember who it is now. If it's, I don't think it's My Arcade, that do a reproduction pinball machine, but instead of a physical, bits on a table like you're seeing, it's a screen, but it's done so that from the viewer's perspective, it looks like an actual pinball game. So you can present all these different games on a screen on what looks like a pinball table. And cool. They sell all the different machines and all that stuff that you load onto it. But I've always been tempted by that because I love pinball. But it's just one more thing, right?
I like the idea of that just for the variety, so that you're not stuck with the same thing every day. That's why I like the idea that the home cabinets that play all the different games, instead of just it only plays Frogger. Or as much as I love Burger Time, maybe I'd have a Burger Time cabinet, but a Pac-Man. Two-gun justice. This is something I never could do in the old days. Yeah. That would cost too much.
Right?
Yeah.
This is the dream. Operation Thunderbolt had a similar Operation Wolf had the one Uzi, then Operation Thunderbolt had two, kind of like this. It was the same layout. It was like two mini Uzis.
I do not remember the screen being this tiny, though.
Yeah.
Trying to shoot the missiles.
It was a long time. I remember there was at some point I remember it's like a light gun game, and it was a while before I realized no, it's just a controller. It's just a controller that's moving around a cursor on the screen. There's no light gun game here,
Yeah.
And I don't know when I realized that. Sometimes at some point when I was a kid, probably when I realized how awful the home version of Operation Wolf was and couldn't figure out why.
It's a very clever idea because it seems like you're shooting at the screen, but it's just a joystick.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one of my other favorites, Mortal Kombat 2. Yeah, that was a great one. my better half for my 50th birthday this year bought me one of those arcade 1-ups that's got like all the Midway classics, including all the Mortal Kombat games and everything. It's really cool. It looks really neat.
I think you misspoke. 30th birthday, right?
Yes, of course, 30th.
You don't look a Dave. So, restaurant here, and underneath there are some NES
That's
cartridges.
cool.
Should have
That's
got a better
really
shot
cool.
of them. But yeah,
Oh, that's a neat looking arcade.
real celebration of vintage games, both arcade and home console.
Well, what's neat about that is like they've got the whole, restaurant, and looks like they've got a full service bar and all that stuff there. I mean,
There's tables that have TVs, and you can play games at your tables too,
that's
like
rad.
console games. There's old Burger Time showing it some love.
Burger Time.
Not too many people hop on Burger Time there, but they don't realize it's the best game in the whole arcade.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing me the way, showing me the Burger Light.
Well, one of the others you need to try when you play it. It's what I think is a underappreciated gem. Is actually Donkey Kong 3 is one of my other favorite games when I see it in arcades.
Oh, I don't know
Donkey
if I've
Kong
ever seen
3
that
is
one.
it's almost like a shooter. It's like almost like a shmup. It's actually more like Galaxian, like what you're playing here, than or Galaga, than it is like a traditional Donkey Kong game. It's really actually a very good game.
I don't think I've ever played that one.
Oh yeah, it's really good. You're like, instead of Mario and Donkey Kong, I forget what his name is. You're a little dude that's got little bug spray, and you're jumping around on platforms, spraying up at the bees that Donkey Kong is angered inside your greenhouse. It's a really clever little premise.
I remember they had Donkey Kong 2 at the theater that I always used to go to, and that game was impossible. Just a quarter muncher.
You're talking Donkey Kong Jr., right?
That's it, Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah, totally. That was the epitome of frustrating that game. Oh my god.
And it looked like it was going to be fun. Like the graphics were amazing. It looked like you were playing a cartoon at the time.
That's a cool effect. Are those almost like holograms on that?
I think so.
Oh, that's neat. That's a neat effect on that.
Here on the right, you
there's
can
Donkey
see.
Kong. Nice.
Yeah, I got to put in some minutes on Donkey Kong. Every arcade bar has to have the basics, the classics.
Just to date myself that I am in fact 50.
30?
I remember, plus 20. I remember that game being new in the arcade in like 81, I think it was 80 or 81, and I remember seeing it just being like, wow.
Well, it was fairly new when I first saw it in the arcade too.
Well, there was a gas station where I lived that usually had 2 or 3 different arcade games, and Donkey Kong was one of them. They had Donkey Kong, they had Miss Pac-Man, and what was the other third one? Well, we used to ride down to this gas station and play those arcade games all the time.
You are clairvoyant today. You were really calling it Miss Pac-Man.
Miss Pac-Man, there you go.
And
Either
Miss
that or
Pac-Man.
this place just has like all of the classics, which it looks like it does.
Miss Pac-Man is better than the first one. I think it's better.
Much better. You know the history of Miss Pac-Man, right?
Nope.
So Miss Pac-Man was actually a ROM hack by these programmers, and it was purchased by Williams and turned into an official game because it was
Really?
they fixed the logic with the ghosts, because in Pac-Man it's really you can patternize the ghosts there too, and it's really easy if you figure out where to go to just run around and avoid all the ghosts. But Miss Pac-Man breaks all the weird patterns that the ghosts have, and it's a more unpredictable game, and generally better playing game. Yeah,
The maps. I always like the maps better too.
Yeah.
Boards.
So began its life as an unofficial game.
It's got better graphics because Miss Pac-Man has a bow on her hair.
Yeah, and it's got the cinematics, the story.
Right. That's right. Yeah, it's a
One of
really,
the first games to do that.
really enveloping story, which I think we're going to see in about a minute. Whoa, look at that.
Oh, there you
Look how
go.
close that one was.
That's a calculated risk right
Just
there.
a fraction of a second.
But you'll notice that when you see those like Pac-Man collections, do you ever notice which game isn't in them? Miss Pac-Man is never in those collections of Pac-Man's game.
Really?
Because Namco owns all the original Pac-Man games, and it's like Williams owns this one.
Now
Because
that
it's
you
not-
mention it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Because
never...
It was a Namco for the NES.
Yeah. So you never see Miss Pac-Man in other Pac-Man collections.
Huh. It's 2025, and I'm playing Ms. Pac-Man at an arcade bar.
And it's probably still one of the better arcade games you're going to find.
The good old days are here. The good old days are now.
Yeah.
Well, I always say time travel is possible. You just have to care enough. And people like this that run Tilt and Pinup and all the other... Yeah, here's the story. They care enough, and they make time travel possible.
Yeah.
Because of their caring. Like, you have to put a lot of love into these machines. You don't just buy them and put them there. I know a few people who restore these, and it is a passion project. Every single cabinet.
That is a hobby that I would really, really love to get into, but I think you just have to have an insane amount of space. Like, I don't even know where I'd put a bunch of arcade cabinets.
Yeah,
I could
you'd need a room basically to line up a wall.
You need a separate room or a basement or something like that. And you're talking thousands of dollars restoring a lot of these machines, or at the very least,
the pinups
you need,
or the one up arcade, whatever they're called.
Yeah. Well, you need, I think, if you're going to look at restoring like actual old arcade games, you need a significant amount of like electronics knowledge, and it's all stuff you can learn. It's not terribly complicated, but you also have a lot of like custom parts and stuff with this. This isn't like the days of the when they'd established the JAMA arcade format. You're basically switching on a board and stuff like that. This is like, if you need a custom ROM chip or something like that, it's like, good luck finding it.
Yeah. I almost wonder, like, why don't people just use emulators in every single, do up the cabinet to look like an original, but just pop in an LCD screen. This thing.
Oh, God,
this is the one you were saying earlier was hard, right? Because of the perspective.
I always had a hard time because it goes, and they've got the shadow is on the ground, and you've got like the little indicator to indicate your height, But I just found it so hard to see where you are in this game.
Well, I thought it was super easy. look how well I'm doing. What are you talking about? It's a breeze. Oops. No, I had no luck on that one.
There was a game that I remember seeing when I was a kid that I could have sworn was Zaxxon 2. But instead of like a spaceship, you were a dragon. And I would have bet my life on this game, like having seen this game somewhere before. And the funny thing is, I was looking for it not too long ago, and I could not find it. And I was thinking, and nowadays I'm wondering, like, did I just see some like ROM hack or something like that with this? But I would swear I remember this game, and I'd remember it as being Zaxxon 2, and I cannot find one trace of it on, or what actually is Zaxxon 2 is not what I remember. So I don't know what was going on there.
It could be a number of things. It could have been a custom job, like a custom local thing.
ROM hack, something like that. Who knows?
No, this is cool if you don't want to stand or if you're too tall, like me.
That's cool.
the 9th, 10th wonder of the world. I'm over 6 feet tall, and sometimes the neck gets cranked a little bit. Oh, there's burger time in there.
And burger time in there.
Yeah, you can sit down at a table, and I remember seeing those at coffee shops all the time. I try my hand at one of these racing games, but like I said, I'm too huge, too gigantic to fit in a lot of these little. Look how tiny the wheel looks in my hands here. And
Fast and Furious.
I think I set it on manual or on automatic, but I'm still trying the shifter. I don't know. It was really dark in there. I was saying earlier that it can be lighter, I think, earlier in the day, but at night it's really dark, so I could barely see like where the buttons were to start the game.
Well, based on it looks like based on what I'm seeing from your car in the game and what I'm seeing from the steering wheel, it looks like it's kind of not calibrated right or something like this. It doesn't look like it's really following what your input is.
I think those have
weird.
Always been like that. No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Look, it's like you're turning quite a bit, and I'm not seeing the same response from your car.
Maybe that's
kind of weird. Could have been it.
We'll try.
Oh, that Mario Kart game is fun. That's a neat one.
Yeah, and then there is this Cruising?
Well, my favorite driving game was always San Francisco Rush. That was a great one, and also San Francisco Rush 2049. The two of them were always like great. Those are the ones where you're flying over hills. You're practically.
Oh man, that's a perfect setting for a racing game.
Yeah.
The hills of San Francisco. you ever pass Hooperman on the streets of San Francisco?
Wave hello to
John Ritter as Hooperman. We need a Hooperman live action reboot.
Hooperman's underappreciated. That's what we got to take that one back.
Hey, Jason Ritter is a great actor. He could play
Yeah.
Hooperman, just like his dad. That's Tilt Arcade. Holy smokes, that was fun.
Very cool. Very cool. I have to say, yeah, anytime I see, somebody with at least, ease of access to something like this, I'm always a little jealous.
Well, that's why I brought you along for this walk along. And just a warning to anyone who wants to head down to Tilt Arcade. Holy smokes. It was a nightmare finding a parking spot on a Saturday night. It was just like there are one ways, there are no left turn here, no right turn. Like no right turn at this light. Like what? It was crazy. So it took a couple times going around the block to figure out where I was going and find a parking spot. But luckily, it's free parking on the road if you can find a spot.
Nice.
After 6 p.m., I believe. But just a warning that there's some weirdness where you're trying to turn left and then you look up at the sign and it's not a one-way you're going into, but it says, nope, no left turn here. Like, why?
That's weird.
So there's a long way around to get there. All right. Well, thanks a lot
Cool
for joining
place.
for this walkthrough, and thanks everyone else for watching along. Hope you enjoyed this look at Tilt Arcade in London, Ontario, and thanks to Tilt for being cool. I just went in, I paid the cover, and I said, is it okay if I grab a little footage for my small little modest YouTube hobby channel? And they were like, yeah, go have fun. I'm like,
So cool.
Awesome. No sweat.
Thank you. I was going to say thank you again, and I always appreciate these slice of lives when I can live somewhat vicariously.
Well, you live in
and experience some cool stuff.
You live in a beautiful place, but sometimes it's nice to take a break from the Paradise Island that you have here. Here, look at this. This is inexplicably shut down. This busy street, this main street in the town is just shut down for Saturday night.
Yeah, I wonder if they're filming something or something like that. It could be.
Well, maybe they do it every Saturday night. I'm not sure. But,
control traffic, maybe. I don't know. What are these things though? These big tall things with the lights and all that stuff. What do you call these things? These are things that look like lots of people maybe fit into.
Buildings.
Buildings.
Buildings. There's not just people in them, there's stuff.
There's stuff in those things?
Nerd mistake.
Nerd mistake.